So I know what you're thinking. Let me explain a few things before we start. Number one, this is a fighting game, so do not expect me to be the best player at this kind of game. I mainly play shooters because, well, that's just my preference and just the way that I am, you know. So take my opinion with a grain of salt when it comes to this kind of game. Number two, this is an indie game on early access on Steam, which is a hit or miss, which has a hit or miss reputation. But again, it's dicey, but you might want to listen to this whole thing before you do this. Number three, I am a brony, and I kind of know a bit of history of this game and what it was and what happened to the development of it and stuff like that. I've kept up with the story a little bit, but other than that, I don't really know too much. I just know the general basics. And four, let me just say that despite this being a fighting game and not usually my cup of tea, this game's pretty good. This game's pretty freaking awesome. So let's get into the video.
My echo, my life is a party, my home is the club. I party like a rock star, dance until I drop. My life is a party, my home is the club.
Them's Fightin Herds was released on Steam Early Access on February 22nd, 2018. It is being developed by Main 6 and was published by Humble Bumble, I believe. This is also a few things, and it's very interesting. Trust me. So, now I am no aficionado when it comes to games like this. I actually suck at Mortal Kombat, and I do okay-ish on a good day in Smash, but all in all, I don't usually play fighting games, nor do I have much practice with them. But wow, this is actually pretty cool. Not only is it not only in spectacle, but in sheer mechanics of it. Now again, I don't know specifically if it does things differently from the ones I've played, but I have played it a bit, so I know I can at least tell you what I know. And I've played some other fighting games, and this one feels different in some way. I can't really put my finger on what it is. So let's start off with gameplay. This is the this follows some standard light, medium, and heavy attacks that certain other games like Smash actually use. They can be done from a low, medium, high, a low, medium, or aerial one, with the medium just being like a standard attack without pushing anything, just the button. A low one being that you drop down low and you hit them, and an aerial just being standard jumping and hitting, stuff like that. And it has like the standard combos, and for each specific standard combos and things for each specific character available within the game. And I found the block to be weird because I didn't know how to do it initially. I actually looked this up, but just walking backward from your opponent blocks the thing. There's no dedicated block button, which I find, number one, weird, and number two, very awkward in some cases. At least during AI matches, I found weird. But again, that's just my own personal thing. I usually did that. And there's also a whole bunch of things for blocking, where you can block also in low guard or in high guard or in mid guard, which does like also for aerials as well, which is nice. And it also has a very interesting sort of chain mechanic that I'm going to call it, and I don't really know specifically what else to call it, but this sort of quote-unquote chain mechanic basically means that when you land a successful hit, if you continue to land successful hits, you will actually do more damage the more that you hit the person. I think that's how that works. And there's also magic type moves that use magic and stuff, and there's also super moves that can be pretty devastating if they hit. Again, standard stuff. All that's labeled like in the bars and should all be for standard fighting things. The game does have full controller support, and it does support the game joystick controllers as well, like those video game pads, the one that are used for fighting games and tournaments and stuff. I don't really know the names of any of that stuff, and I'm not going to go into detail, but it's pretty interesting in my opinion, and you might want to read up or a little tutorial on it just to maybe get a little more detail on that. And remember, I mainly play shooting games, so I went into this with some expectations, but not a lot, because again, I don't really play this kind of game, but I still wanted to see what it was, because I mainly got it because I kind of saw it on there, and I was like, I've seen this game before, I want to actually play it. The first thing you'll notice is the lack of, well, content. Not that that's a bad thing right now, just check the date of the video and just to compare to the later people of the future. But as of right now, on the recording of this video and whenever it's published, probably, which is going to be soon after recording this, there's not that much content. But it's pretty fun, if not a bit difficult. That might just be my own personal thing. I'm not really good at fighting games, so again, take my opinion with a grain of salt. But, well, what do you get? Well, you get 6 fighters, and probably more on the way, all themed around having hooves. You have a cow, a unicorn, a sheep, a dragon, and a llama. And I completely forgot their names, I'm so sorry. Each have a distinct look and a fighting style, and each of them have a sort of different fighting style than each other. Though my favorite is the cow, which I believe is named Arizona. That's the only one that I remember because she's my personal favorite because of just the way that her fighting style works. You may also notice the art style is kind of cartoony. Well, that's nice to know that you've been paying attention. The art and the characters were actually helped in the creation of by Lauren Faust, and she was the creator of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Though she is no longer working on the show because she distanced herself from it a while back, it's nice to see that she's doing okay still. So, see, there was a game way back called Fighting is Magic, and yes, it was based on the same TV show that Lauren Faust worked on called My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, and My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, of which I watched. Oh, okay, I still watch it because I'm a brony, but that's not the important bit. It contained a lot of the characters from the show and had them fight to the KO in one-on-one battles around Ponyville while their friends watched. You know, for kids. It's also interesting to note that these are the same developers. By that, I mean they worked on Fighting is Magic, and they're now working on this game, so that doesn't really surprise me there, because the art styles are very similar, and it's actually really cool to actually see this game kind of come to fruition. And it's basically being touted as a spiritual successor to Fighting is Magic. Anyway, long story short, that was basically deleted and deleted off the web and stuff, and told to not be done because of reasons. And, well, that was that. Now, I am not saying that this game, I'm not saying that this is the same game as Fighting is Magic, but I am not saying that this doesn't remind me of that game. Heck, even some of the characters have very similar movesets, and Main Six is a pretty interesting name. Wonder if they're fans of the show. All the same, they got, it's nice to see, it's nice to see that Lauren Faust herself, helped to create this game. I hope that there's more characters in the future, and maybe some non-hooved ones. Just as like a question. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be a thing, because the story of it basically went that the hooved people, the hooved animals, took over and became sentient and whatnot, and kicked out the non-ones. But now they're coming back for some reason, and I would love to see that awesome like campaign. Please make it happen, please. And more fighters, because that'd be great. Like, that'd be awesome. Anyway, all jokes aside, I do actually have some stuff, but all jokes aside, is it good? Well, I can say it does its job, but it's missing some content. This game, as it stands at the time of recording this video, is good. It's really good. Better than better than some other games on Steam Early Access. It's a very solid foundation, but the price is, it's okay? Question mark. Not too much to say that it's a deal breaker, but not too little to say that you should buy it now. I got it because I've had my eye on it for some time, so yeah. If they add in, if they start and they seem to be keeping up regular updates and stuff like that, I would definitely say it's worth the $14.99. But at this point, But at this point, it's mainly just an arcade mode and a training mode, and maybe some other things. I don't think that the online mode works, but then again, I wouldn't know. I didn't test it out because I didn't want to get completely wrecked. Because again, I need to just learn it. Anyway, I'd say if you absolutely are a fan of fighting games, you might want to see this to get something new into your system. If you're a fan of fighting games, definitely. If you're a fan of the original Fighting is Magic, or if you've seen gameplay of it, or if you're even a non-brony and you just like fighting games, this one's fairly interesting just because of the sheer concept of it. But I'd say if you're on the fence right now and you're not too certain if you want it 100%, you might want to hold off on this just for a little while. Maybe, you might want to hold off on this game for now and wait to see what happens. But, and this is a very important but, keep your eyes on this game. I have a feeling this game is going to be very good later on, especially for fighting game fans. It's very good. It seems very solid. All the mechanics are there. Just build off of it. You have everything there. It's again, sturdy foundation. Looks like it's going to support a lot of the stuff that is to come. And if the people there are passionate, which they seem very much so due to their history, I would definitely say that this would 100% become a recommendation eventually. But as it stands right now, I would just say that this game is one that should be looked into if you kind of are interested in this kind of concept. But with all that being said, I'm not going to give this a value or anything, but I'm just going to give you my final thoughts on this before I close out the video. And that's basically that. It's a good game. It's fun, entertaining. Again, I'm not really good at fighting games, but I'll get better. Maybe if the campaign comes out, I'll play through it. But I would have to say that this is pretty cool. All in all, this is a pretty good game. Keep an eye on it, etc., etc. And, that's just me. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and a peace off.